What would you risk to save an innocent life? Al Capone, once a notorious crime lord, now finds solace in the laughter of children as he sweeps the floors of a crumbling orphanage in a forgotten corner of America. Beneath the surface of his tough exterior lies a man haunted by the ghosts of his past, longing for redemption and a chance to protect the vulnerable. The peeling paint and cold, cracked walls of the orphanage tell a story of neglect, mirroring the struggles of its young inhabitants. Just when Capone begins to feel a sense of purpose, tragedy strikes. Luca, a spirited boy with dreams of becoming a painter, vanishes without a trace. The whispers of a human trafficking ring connected to Capone's old world tug at his conscience, forcing him to confront the darkness he hoped to leave behind. With his heart racing and determination ignited, Capone is thrust into a perilous journey where he must battle not only the shadows of his past, but also the ruthless forces that threaten the future of a child he has come to love. As Al Capone searched the dimly lit corners of the orphanage, the laughter of the children echoed like a haunting melody, reminding him of the innocence he had long lost. The moment Luca's absence was felt, the air grew heavy with despair. Capone's heart raced, each beat echoing the fear that gripped him. He was no stranger to darkness, yet this felt different. It was personal. The shadows of his past threatened to engulf him once more as he recalled the ruthless world he had escaped. In his desperation, Capone enlisted the help of Clara, a fiercely determined social worker who had dedicated her life to fighting the very trafficking ring that loomed over Luca's disappearance. Clara's skepticism of Capone's intentions was palpable. She regarded him as a relic of a bygone era, yet she couldn't deny the sincerity in his eyes. Their budding alliance was fraught with tension as Clara's commitment to justice clashed with Capone's morally gray methods, forcing them to confront their biases and beliefs. As they began their search, Capone felt the weight of his past decisions crashing down upon him. The memories of lives ruined and innocence shattered clawed at his conscience. Doubts spiraled within him. Was he truly capable of change, or was he doomed to repeat history? Each lead they followed brought them closer to the truth, yet with it came the haunting realization that Luca was not the only child in peril. The stakes rose, forcing Capone to confront his deepest fears, his capacity for violence and the ghosts that lingered in the depths of his soul. Capone's resolve was tested as he faced a brutal confrontation with a member of the trafficking ring, a man who embodied the very darkness he sought to dismantle. In that moment, he realized the fight was not just for Luca's freedom, but a battle for his own redemption. With every punch thrown and every word exchanged, Capone grappled with the man he had been and the man he desperately wanted to become. The emotional turmoil of his journey mirrored the crumbling walls of the orphanage, each crack a reminder of past failures and the fragile hope of a better future. As Clara and Capone navigated this treacherous path, the bond they formed was both a lifeline and a source of tension. Clara's unwavering idealism challenged Capone's jaded worldview, sparking clashes that forced them to re-evaluate their motivations. Each setback they encountered, false leads, threats from the underworld, and the constant fear of losing Luca, drove them to the brink, testing their resolve and the fragile connection they were forging. In the depths of despair, amidst the chaos and uncertainty, Capone began to glimpse a flicker of hope. The possibility that he could rewrite his story, not just for himself, but for the children who deserved a chance at life, free from the chains of exploitation. The journey ahead was fraught with danger, but as he looked into Clara's determined eyes, he felt a surge of conviction. Together, they would navigate the darkness, striving to bring light back into the lives of those who had been silenced for too long. As Al Capone and Clara pressed deeper into the underbelly of the trafficking ring, new challenges emerged that threatened to unravel their fragile alliance. Just when they thought they had a solid lead on Luca's whereabouts, a tip-off from An unknown source sent them racing to an abandoned warehouse, only to find it empty. The sense of futility gnawed at Capone, his heart heavy with the realization that time was running out for the boy. Clara's frustration mirrored his own, her unwavering determination now tinged with doubt. On their return to the orphanage, they were ambushed by thugs aligned with the trafficking network, a clear warning that their investigation was drawing unwanted attention. A violent skirmish ensued, leaving Capone bruised and battered, the physical toll a stark reminder of the darkness he had once thrived in. As he lay in bed that night, the pain felt like a punishment for the sins of his past, and the fear of failure loomed larger than ever. Clara's resolve, however, only intensified. Her fierce commitment to justice pushed Capone to confront his own demons. He realized that while he had the power to inflict pain, he also had the potential to wield that same power for good. Yet he was haunted by the specter of betrayal, unsure if he could trust Clara's idealism not to falter under pressure. Their differences began to create fissures in their partnership. Each time Clara pushed for a more righteous approach, Capone felt the shadows of his old life creeping back in, testing his ability to change. Meanwhile, Clara wrestled with her own internal conflicts. As she witnessed the toll the search was taking on Capone, she began to question her own steadfast belief in redemption. Could she truly rely on a man with such a bloody history? The walls of her idealism began to crack, leaving her vulnerable to doubt. The emotional strain began to seep into their interactions, with heated arguments erupting over their divergent methods, threatening to sever the bond they had formed. Yet, amidst the chaos, the specter of a turning point loomed. A mysterious informant reached out to Clara, claiming to have vital information that could lead them to Luca. But the informant's identity was shrouded in secrecy, raising the stakes of their investigation. Trust would be a luxury they could no longer afford, and Capone found himself at a crossroads. Would he take the risk to pursue this new lead, or would his past mistakes dictate his choices? The fate of Luca hung in the balance, and with each passing moment, Capone felt the weight of the world pressing on his shoulders. The emotional, physical, and relational turmoil was a crucible for transformation, forcing him to confront not only his past, but also the man he wanted to become. As he and Clara prepared to face the unknown, the bonds of their alliance were tested like never before, setting the stage for a reckoning that would ultimately redefine them both. As they prepared to meet the mysterious informant, the air was thick with tension, a palpable mix of hope and dread. Clara's heart raced as they arrived at a dimly lit cafe, the kind where shadows whispered secrets. The informant, cloaked in anonymity, slid into their booth with a furtive glance over his shoulder. He revealed that Luca had been spotted in a remote location, a grim hideout known for its brutal reputation. In that moment, the weight of their mission crystallized for Capone. The boy's vulnerability ignited a fierce protectiveness within him, eclipsing the shadows of his past. Clara's unwavering gaze met his, her faith in him a silent challenge to rise above his demons. Yet, as the informant laid out the details, Capone's instincts screamed caution. This could be a trap, a calculated move by the trafficking ring to ensnare them. As Capone's mind raced, the informant abruptly stood, his expression shifting from urgency to fear. A gunshot rang out, the sound reverberating through the cafe, causing patrons to scream and scatter. The informant crumpled to the floor, and chaos erupted. Capone instinctively shielded Clara, his body reacting faster than his mind. They ducked behind the booth as bullets ricocheted around them, adrenaline coursing through Capone's veins. In that harrowing moment, Capone felt the raw clarity of purpose wash over him. The fear of failure that had haunted him began to morph into a burning resolve. He realized that he had to confront the darkness not just for Luca but for himself, to prove that he could be more than the monster he once was. Clara, too, was transformed. The urgency of the situation stripped away her doubts, replacing them with a fierce determination to save the boy. As they narrowly escaped the cafe, the air outside felt different, charged with the possibility of redemption. No longer could Capone afford to linger in the shadows of his past. He was propelled forward by the very threat that had sought to destroy them. The stakes had risen dramatically, and they were now on a collision course with the trafficking ring, their resolve solidified by the realization that they were fighting for something greater than themselves. The turning point was undeniable. Capone was redefined by the chaos, and Clara found strength in the face of fear. Together they stood at the precipice of a new battle, the path ahead fraught with danger, yet illuminated by the light of their shared conviction. The fate of Luca and their own souls hung in the balance, and they would stop at nothing to reclaim both. As the dust settled from the chaos of the cafe, Capone and Clara found themselves at an abandoned warehouse, the hideout where Luca was rumored to be held. The air was thick with the metallic scent of fear and desperation. Shadows loomed large, and Capone's heart pounded in his chest. This was it, the moment he had been preparing for, yet never truly believed would come. His greatest challenge lay before him, not just in rescuing Luca, but in confronting the darkness within himself. Clara's voice broke through his thoughts, steady and resolute. "We can't turn back now. We owe it to him." Her words ignited something fierce within him. Capone recalled the countless nights he had spent wrestling with his past, the guilt that clawed at him like a relentless beast. He had come to learn that redemption wasn't just a destination, it was a journey paved with sacrifices and choices. They moved stealthily through the warehouse, the echoes of their footsteps swallowed by the oppressive silence. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, one of the traffickers, a menacing smile carved into his face. The confrontation was inevitable. Capone felt the weight of his past pressing down on him as he faced the man responsible for so much pain. This was the moment he had feared, a test of his resolve. "Let the boy go!" Capone roared, his voice trembling with a mix of anger and desperation. The trafficker laughed, a low, mocking sound that echoed off the walls. "You think you can save him? You're nothing but a monster." But as Clara stepped forward, her presence a beacon of strength, Capone felt the darkness within him begin to lift. "We're not here to play games," she said, her voice unwavering. The connection they had forged over their harrowing journey solidified into an unbreakable bond. Together, they charged at the trafficker, a unified force fueled by the love for the boy they were fighting to save. In that critical moment, Capone remembered the resolve that had blossomed within him after the cafe shooting. He lunged forward, tackling the trafficker to the ground, their bodies crashing against the cold, hard floor. Clara's swift kick sent the man sprawling, disarming him in an instant. The fight was fierce, but Capone's focus was laser-sharp. Each punch he threw was not only a blow against the trafficker, but also against the lingering shadows of his past. As they finally subdued the man, Capone felt a surge of victory wash over him. He turned to Clara, their eyes locking in an unspoken promise. They had faced the darkness together, and together they would emerge victorious. The realization that he could overcome his fears and protect those he loved brought a sense of peace he had never known. With the trafficker incapacitated, they rushed to find Luca. The emotional weight of the moment surged through Capone, propelling him forward. They found the boy, trembling but alive, and the sight ignited a fierce protectiveness within him. In that moment, Capone understood that he was not just fighting for redemption. He was fighting for family, for hope, and for a future that could be brighter than the shadows of the past. Together, they walked out of the warehouse, leaving behind the remnants of a life that had tried to consume them, stepping into the light of a new beginning.